The top regrets when facing death, and my, have I heard many of them. I'm Nathan. I spent 13 years in the funeral profession, and I've seen a lot of death and the aftermath of, and people coming into our care. And we're going to dive in. I want to talk to you about these because these are the numbers of the most, the biggest, the greatest regrets as told by those on their deathbeds. And may we, if we don't get the gift to just fall asleep, may we be mindful as these individuals are. Number one, cherish time with loved ones. Speaking of, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here with me. Be sure to subscribe. Click the bell to be notified when I release content exclusive right here on YouTube, and follow me everywhere else. And we're going to keep going because regret over not spending enough time with family and friends is actually one of the most common because you get so busy doing other things. You're so distracted by all the distractions. Like I always joke about living in the Little House on the Prairie days where, Laura Ingalls Wilder, and she's running down the hill and, everybody's just participating together. The family, they're contributing to essentially growing and surviving and thriving as a family. They walk with their two friends across the bridge to the local schoolyard, and everyone's there. Everyone, for the most part, gets along, and they see the simplest of things find them the greatest joy. And that is something that they're mindful of. Now, obviously, that's a TV show, but I think that's the case when we simplify our lives, when we realize that it's not important, the likes and the shares and the comments, although it's appreciated, although it's the opportunity that it affords us to be together, for instance, you subscribing, for instance, there's something invaluable about that. But on our deathbeds, it's the family, the loved ones. It's not the accolades and the suits and all the things surrounding your bedside at your end of days. It's the people. It is people, your family, that are holding your hand, patting your shoulder, rubbing your hair. I've seen it. Trust me. Prioritize relationships to avoid missing precious moments. Prioritize relationships. And there's an incredible book called The Art of Holding Space by Heather Platt. I encourage you to check that out, whether it's Audible or whether you actually like to turn a physical page or maybe scroll through the Kindle. But there's something miraculous about being able to meet someone where they are. And that's what I always tell you. And it's expecting nothing in return, but it's being mindful that I may be able to give a 10 out of 10 and you can only give 2 out of 10. And I meet you there. And maybe you're not able to participate in a friendship or relationship the way that I am. Prioritizing a relationship and just being there, however that may be. Now, obviously, exhausting yourself. This is about the final and the end of days. And these are the family members in which maybe they birthed you. Maybe they're not biological, but they're adoptive. All that to say, it's like the relationships that you put forth the effort into and it was reciprocated, those are the ones to prioritize. And those are the ones that matter the absolute most. Keep that in mind. Don't worry. Minimize worry. Really. We worry about everything. It is constant anxiety to live in your imagination and creating scenarios of things that have not, probably won't ever happen. There's an incredible song by Ingrid Andress called Things That Haven't Happened Yet. And the chorus ends as, they're all just things that haven't happened yet. I love that. It's worrying creates unnecessary stress. Learning to let go of worries can lead to a more fulfilling and peaceful life, even transition into death, I believe, because the wise prophet Van Wilder, that movie's hilarious, by the way, but he says, worrying's like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. I think that's absolutely true. Worrying does nothing. It produces zero result, except stomach aches and bags under your eyes, says the guy that knows that. And I appreciate it. If you've been this far in the video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. Let me know what worries you at night. What's something that keeps you up? Because this isn't a judgment thing. This isn't something I'm going to be like, don't worry. It's easier said than done. I totally get it. However, I believe in community, and maybe perhaps there's some insight that could be offered. Let me know in the comments something that you worry about. And maybe there's a way to minimize or maybe eliminate it. Number 3, practicing forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't about, it's not for them. It's for you. Holding grudges can be toxic. Forgiving others and oneself can free you from unnecessary burdens and promote inner peace. Like I said, there's something about pride, and this forgiveness is this opportunity to just lay it down. And I've had to do that a time or two in my life, and I'm sure you have too. There are moments, there are relationships, there are things and people that you would think would not need or require such forgiveness. And I mean that I'm being very vague because of how personal, but my point is it's not for them. If there's this pride that's built up in your chest and you don't want to forgive because they don't deserve it, well, you deserve it. Because the moment that you genuinely forgive is the moment that you let go. You're able to let it be, and let it be what it may. And that's powerful. So being on your deathbed, of the top 10, this is number 3, as far as a big regret to not have done before you're to that point. So let it go, because you could maybe not be here tomorrow. And if not, you're carrying that. Is it worth it? It obviously wasn't. It isn't to a number of people who have been asked, what is your deepest regret? Stand up for yourself. I know that for a fact as of the last few months. Advocating for your own rights and beliefs is crucial. Don't let others bully or silence you. Your voice and opinions are valuable. Now, your voice, your opinions, don't let someone bully you. You can do all of those things with kindness, compassion, humility, and grace. You don't have to be an asshole. You don't have to strong-arm people into accepting your beliefs, and not only accepting them, but maybe accepting them as their own. You don't have to. It's okay. But what is not okay is for those values, beliefs that you have to not be honored. So then it's your responsibility to determine what space, place, people are safe for you. Nonetheless, on people's deathbeds, I wish I didn't let people push me around. I've heard people say that. I have been agreeable. Being this golden retriever, I have a podcast episode about that called Don't Be a Golden Retriever. It's an episode on You'll Die Trying. I'll link that in the description there, but I talk about it. There's something, it's icky. So when you're on your deathbed, know that as you are on this side and the next, you can say, I stood up for me and what I believe. Live authentically. You'd think that's a no-brainer, but versions of yourself, it's what we all create. I've done it. I remember there's something I just recently talked about, having just come back from Grammy Week. We were talking about the music aspect, and I remember it was 2012, 2013. I was writing songs that I thought people wanted me to be writing and what they wanted to hear, but they fell short, flat, because they weren't authentic. They to a version, to a degree they were, but genuinely to the heart of, to the core of me, they weren't. It's what I thought you wanted. But writing for me is my most authentic self. And not just that, but that's an example. But people on their deathbed say to be as authentic as possible. Pursue personal goals and passions instead of following someone else's path. Authenticity leads to fulfillment and success on your own terms. Meaning, if I got $1 for every time, you should do this, you should do that, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing that. There's no money in music. There's no money in creativity and influence. There's no money as an influencer on social media. What is it about money? Why money, 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 money? That is just this driving force. But authenticity, the byproduct, is the blessing of maybe money. Definitely relationships, definitely connections, definitely a fulfilling life. You can go push papers because that's what you're supposed to do in your hometown because your grandfather's done this paper pushing. Maybe you come from, I can't imagine being a family of farmers. And maybe you are the 7th generation and this weird black sheep that doesn't want to farm. That's an example that I think about a lot because that is one of those passed down trades and an honorable one at that. My gosh, our farmers, the people who cultivate and grow and take care of our land and feed us, tip my hat to you all. But if that's not what you want to do and that's not your authentic self, that's why I always talk about in podcast episodes of You'll Die Trying, there's this book called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. You are put here for a particular thing. And yes, you can be an administrative assistant and be the guitarist that you were put here to be, because the administrative assistant position pays your bills, which we all have to live. But being that guitarist, that creative, that painter, whatever it is that is in your gut and chest, that if you're not doing it, you don't feel alive and you don't feel purpose, that's what you're here for. And that's authenticity. Being kind, being compassionate, being your true authentic self will give you so much peace. And while on your deathbed, that's what I would want, because it's obviously on the list. It is number 5. And if you've gotten this far, I'm glad, because I appreciate that. Be sure to subscribe, click the bell to be notified, and let me know in the comments, what is something that you love? What do you feel that you were put here to do? I would love for you to share that, and I would appreciate it. Be honest. That's number 6. Lying on your deathbed, knowing that you were honest, and righting your wrongs if you weren't, because we're not perfect. God, unfortunately, we're not. There's so much pressure that we put on ourselves. Oh, I messed up. Oh, I didn't do this. Oh, I did that. I shouldn't have done that. But my gosh, he who without sin cast that first stone. Obviously, I'm very passionate about this because I've seen it. I've gone to bedsides of those who aren't yet dead, but know that they're going to be soon, and they want to prearrange. And they're telling me these types of stories. Oh, I didn't do this, or I did this. I regret this. Well, being honest allows us the opportunity to minimize that. We're not going to eliminate it. There are moments where you feel backed into a corner and you feel this need to defend. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right and justifying not being honest, but we're humans and we must be gentle with ourselves. But honesty is the foundation of integrity. Being truthful with yourself and others builds trust and genuine relationships. Going back to, it's the people around the bedside. Those people matter. Being honest and rooted in integrity. That's what people on their deathbeds talk about a lot. And they talk about, this one always hiccups me, balance of work and life. Work-life balance. I want to push back on this, but overworking, especially in jobs you aren't passionate about, going back to living authentically and doing what you're put here to do, can lead to burnout and regret. Strive for a balanced life that includes work, rest, and play. Work-life balance, it's not a balance. Work and life go hand in hand because you work while alive. Life isn't playful all the time. It isn't worry-free all the time. It isn't vacation all the time. It's this. And I think that there's something profound about being able to accept, okay, I live in a world where I'm on call all the time, for instance. How am I able to balance that world and being mindful of putting my phone down or being present with the kids and throwing the ball? All that balance is what is, or lack thereof, is what is regretted most, lying in a bed, counting your days as the number gets less and less. There's something profound about being able to find that special ingredient. If you do find it, let me know. Do you have a hard time with work and life and this balance act of being able to just kind of unplug a little bit? My grandfather would say, Nathan, you got to leave it at the door. Well, in the funeral profession, you got to take it inside. So it was very hard to find that. And it took, unfortunately, at the cost of a lot, it took a very long time. But finding it is powerful. Keeping it is even more. Ignore external opinions. Give 0 Fs about what people think. Gosh, like in grade school, middle school, high school, middle school more so, high school, up until your early 20s, you worry so much about the opinions of others. It's awful. Don't let the judgment of others dictate your life choices. Trust your own judgment and live true to yourself. Those on their deathbeds, I wish I didn't care what my neighbor thought of me. I would have mowed my yard different. Seriously, people worry about the stuff that doesn't matter one bit in the grand scheme of things. They worry about what people think of the shoes they wear, how they do their hair. People, who cares? I've had people make fun of my hair and it says people don't take you as serious. I don't really know how hair can make someone not be taken as serious. I get it, like Ace Ventura's hair like you look like a goof, but when you're sitting across from the table and you're leading a funeral arrangement with compassion and immense passion, like desire, that I think would shift that immediately. But my point is when you're on your deathbed, I don't think you're going to care about what Sally Sue wrote in your 7th grade note about how you had a booger hanging out of your nose. I really don't. And I think if you can capture that, if you can grab hold of that beast and keep it in your pocket with you always, then you will live a freeing life. When it comes time to count down those days, those last moments, it won't matter. You won't have that on your list. Keep that in mind. What's something that you worry about what people think? If you feel like sharing, maybe you don't, and that's okay. What's something that you realize doesn't matter in the grand scheme? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure you subscribe if you've gotten this far, and I appreciate you doing so. Realize your potential. Do not ever settle for less. Do not settle for less than what you're capable of achieving. I knew since I was a little kid that I was going to do big things. And that's not ego. That's not an ego. That is confidence. It's been on my heart to do what I am doing. I knew from a young age that I was going to make a difference by being positive and doing creative things. I knew it, and I always would say it. I'd have teachers in elementary school, teachers in middle school, teachers in high school, and everywhere through my adult life, people would say, like, shut up. Well, it's your job not to say shut up externally. Internally, don't listen to those voices on the external and do it, because on your deathbed, you don't want to regret that you didn't become the welder that you always wanted to be. You don't want to regret that you didn't learn to ride a horse. I want to ride a horse. I still have never ridden a horse, and I love horses. Why haven't I done that? I don't want to regret that. That's a stupid example to you, perhaps, but not to me, because that's important. That is on the list. One of the most regretted things is not literally realizing your potential and doing what you're capable of. Never settle. Like, you deserve the world. If someone treats you disrespectfully, they're not your friend. If someone continuously talks down to you, they're not your friend. If someone says they love you, but they go and run around on you all the time, they don't. Remember that. Confront your fears. Facing fears head on can lead to growth and prevent regrets about missed opportunities or unexplored paths. Facing your fears. Taking a job cut. That's scary because you've built your life around this specific budget. Moving because you have roots. Leaving a tumultuous relationship, whatever type that is. That's scary. But confronting fear, looking in the face, absolutely winning, because you know what? Goodness and righteousness win every time. Every time. Trust me. And on your deathbed, when you're lying there and you have lived a life that is of meaning, that is powerful. Know your potential. Absolutely confront the fear. It sounds silly, and it's the analogy of jumping off of a cliff of a heights. You are scared of those. I remember jumping off at the cliffs. I believe it's Kentucky Lake. Anybody from Kentucky, and it's not Kentucky Lake, whatever the place with the cliffs. I'm scared to death of heights, and I did it. And I still talk about it, and it was when I was like 15, however old I was, because of how powerful it was to know that I beat the hell out of that fear. And if I can do that, then I can do anything. And I keep proving that to myself. Anytime I doubt myself, anytime I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do that, I'm scared of it. Do it. Do it. Because when the curtain closes on your life, you're going to be like, hell yeah, I did. And it's something that we might add in your obituary tribute too. Keep that in mind. What's something that you're so scared of? You're so scared of, and that you've absolutely faced and done? Let me know in the comments. Maybe you haven't done it yet, but still let me know in the comments. I would love to know something that scares you. For me, it's snakes and heights and big crowds, believe it or not, scare me. Isn't that crazy? Says the guy that goes on stage and sings in front of them. Pursue what matters. Let go of pursuits that don't align with your values and make room for what truly enriches your life. This is relationships. Big time is what I keep thinking about. I remember I wanted people to like me so much up until even recent. You know, we all still want people to like us. Of course, we don't want to walk around being assholes, but I don't care if people like me or not. we are built to have a sense of community. And so being tolerable, being pleasant are what attract that to a degree, generally speaking. I think that pursuing what matters means having dignity too, because as business owners, even if people are disrespectful that are consumers of your product or of your services and they're rude and you don't have to tolerate it, you have dignity, you have respect. Oh, well, I get paid. Who cares? You can respectfully say, I think that it's best that someone else serve you or someone else do this, or maybe our friendship. It's okay. It's important for you. It's important for you to know your worth. It's important for them to know too, and to give them permission. Like it's a freeing thing for them to be permitted to, hey, okay, awesome. And you know where everybody stands, but pursue what matters most. Family, maybe it's faith. For me, it's faith. It's a better version of myself. It's the relationships of people that show up for me and that I show up for. That's what I want to pursue. Because on your deathbed, that's what's going to matter. And last but certainly not least, this one gets me. Live in the present. Embrace each moment and make your days count. Focus on the present. When you do, it helps you build a life worth remembering and minimizes future regrets. So when the curtain's closing on your life, you're going to think about all those moments that really mattered, and you're going to remember whether or not you were there. And there were so many times I was so caught up in work and so caught up in just trying to make sure that all the plates were spinning at the funeral homes and all the people were happy. I didn't always look on the floor to watch the little babies. And now I have 2 9-year-olds, one's almost 10, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. I'm now enjoying this journey of success and achievement, showing up to create content, showing up to write and record, and having thousands, millions even people hear what I'm doing. I'm enjoying it now. But I wasn't always. I was looking, oh, well, if I just get this record deal, or if I just get distributed over here, or if this TV show hurries up, or whatever. Because, like, even on your deathbed, those moments, and I've seen it, those moments when I watched my late grandmother slowly wither away, it's like she was so present, knowing that her days and moments were numbered, because she knew the value of that presence. And why can't we be present now? Even the mundane is something to be. We have life, like 1 in 555 billion or whatever, a chance that we would even exist, something crazy, and we're here. We are here. I say it all the time. You're going to be remembered for something. Choose good now. Now, in this mundane moment of going to the grocery to pick up tampons or whatever the hell. I don't know why I even just said that, but like, say hi to somebody. Be present. Take the meeting. Call your parent. Take the call from your parent. I mean, these are the top 12 most regretted things that someone did not do or did do that they shouldn't have, perhaps, on their deathbed. They're giving advice. They are saying this, and I've heard it, and I've seen it. When the curtains close on your life, when the sun sets, when you are on this side and the next, in those last moments, don't have these regrets. Minimize it. If at all, eliminate it. What's something that you want to be remembered for? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you watching. Be sure to subscribe. Click the bell to be notified when I release content exclusive here. You are loved far more than you could ever know. You're worth it.